I only vaguely knew how bad the working conditions of riders were exactly until I myself started to work in dispatch. For everyone who doesn't know what dispatch is, we basically are the rider support. Until I started to work in dispatch for one of the biggest delivery services globally. I started to work at foodpanda in June, which is owned by Delivery Hero, the company that created Lieferando and their exploitative work environment present there today. And the only thing they've learned from creating and of course profitably selling Lieferando is how to increase profit margins further while simultaneously making it seem like they move in an ethical manner. Well, surprise, they don't. Throughout being employed there, I gained more and more insight, not only on how the riders were treated, but also on how the company views their employees. To them, we are all replaceable. Regardless of if you work as a rider or in dispatch, they couldn't care less about any of us. This became increasingly clear through my contact with the riders. There was a flood of never-ending, repeating complaints, and we were taught to give the same bullshit answer every time. For example, complaints that riders were not allowed to use the toilet in our offices, as the riders had 2 4-hour shifts, so foodpanda wouldn't have to give them their paid break during their shifts. There often was no possibilities for riders to go to the toilet at all. If the system would detect you not moving towards the pickup quick enough, the order would automatically be assigned to someone else, and the rider would be put on forced, unpaid break. So no time for public restrooms, I guess. If you just carried out 6 orders spanning over 15 or 20 kilometers total, and you don't accept the 7th order, guess what? Unpaid break. Your shift ends in 5 minutes, and you don't want to accept an order because you want to go home after 8 hours of hard work, unpaid break. Bike issue, you got half an hour to fix it and pay for it yourself. And if it's not fixable, guess what? Another unpaid break. If you did the work as intended by foodpanda, there was no way you would not work overtime. Often over an hour of overtime. On top of that, you use your own bike plus phone to work, and contracts are limited. 1 week, we had an increasing amount of complaints by riders over app's data usage. I've been sent multiple screenshots showing that the app necessary to work used over 6 gigabytes of mobile data within the span of 3 hours. Our riders only got 20 cents an hour for mobile data, so it was not covered at all. Our riders were mostly migrant workers, with very few German and EU riders sprinkled in between. Of course, the company still managed to favor them over the majority of their staff. I distinctly remember when foodpanda had a TV appearance, and we were asked to set some of the riders who were meant to be present on a paid break for their appearance on TV. foodpanda conveniently managed to send what felt like their only 5 Germans and EU riders at that time to the interview, even though their staff mostly consists of migrant workers. That day in particular left me disgusted with my job and showed me where exactly any of us stand within these companies. None of these exploitative tactics are coincidental. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly that it's easy to exploit people who have no other choice. And they know that it's not right, but the only thing they learned so far is how to conceal the fucked up things they do from the public eye. foodpanda not only created an environment of mistrust within my team, but also between us and the riders. I had to work 8.5 hours while being watched constantly over Zoom in my own home, had to ask to go to the toilet with the possibility of being denied at any point. And heard of colleagues being shamed for getting sick and asked to work while sick with the clear indication of maybe losing their job. We were forced to tell on riders who would not accept orders or whose battery died mid-job. And if we didn't, our team leads made sure to make the work environment as uncomfortable as possible. They lured in under false promises. Me and my team were promised a home office bonus of 600 euros after the 6-month probation period. What they did instead? They fired me over the phone. 1 month before I would have received the bonus. Why? Well, the only reason they gave me and the heaps of my colleagues they fired with me was that they are well within their right to do so. As simple as that. I found out I was fired because I wanted to log into my shift and my passwords have been magically changed without any warning. And after I tried to reach someone for about 30 minutes, someone took it upon themselves to inform me I was fired by phone. They didn't even care enough to let me know. These companies are afraid enough to hide their wrongdoings from the public eye, but not afraid enough to implement real change. So let us make them. Let us stand in solidarity, strike, and fight together until the last of these companies know better than to break apart the very backbone allowing them to stand in the first place.
I say no justice and you say no peace. No justice, no justice. Ich bin ein Mensch, der Fehler machen muss, damit er sie sieht. Eine Freiheit ist uns nicht geblieben, aber immerhin die. Rap in die Hälfte meines Lebens, bin politisch aktiv. Doch Mensch war ich auch schon vorher und das ist was zählt. Klingt zu simpel, doch es gibt leider Dinge, die klingen so simpel, dass niemand sich hier noch an ihre Tiefe erinnert.